You ready?
We're ready.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Good evening, everyone. Special segment, Tall Take. My name is Tall Greenberg, coming at you live once again. Been a great week politically, intellectually for me. Forces have come together for this analysis. Okay. Famous anthropologist, Marshall Sahlins, writer of many books, one of the most famous and having the most impact in anthropology, Islands of History, where basically he shows that the arrival of Captain Cook to the Hawaiian Islands was both foretold by their own mythology, but also realized in the events that unfolded with his coming, such that on the one hand he was the fulfillment of the philosophy, but on the other hand, the way that he interacted with it also fundamentally changed Hawaiian society. How do we have it today? Mythologies. Mythologies which have reigned in politics since the foundation of the Republic. This current mythology has to deal with the Kennedy clan. We know them, we love them. They represented Camelot. They represented the ideals of the highest point in America, post-Eisenhower. Eisenhower realized the biggest economic advancement in American history, but at the same time, the greatest creation of the military-industrial complex, the inception of it, which he realized would come to dominate American politics in future centuries. Kennedy represented a change. Kennedy represented something fundamental, tapping into that idealism, but at the same time, keeping America strong, keeping America reaching for those ideals, and keeping America secure despite some initial fits and starts. Barack Obama, in many respects, is a lot like John. But he's also...
But he's brown!
What is this?
Sorry, you gotta tell the people who I am.
Okay. Apparently, we're getting... we should all hang together lest we all hang separately, to quote the founders. This is Cara Andrade, okay? Say hello.
Hi. Sorry, I'm behind the camera most of the time.
She's rolling it. She's going to get some proceeds if this ever goes anywhere. That would be nice. Be happy to do it. But otherwise, faithful person here. Very good friend. And, all right.
Repeat the question.
Their question was, why do you like John? He's got the same sense of the idealism.
But he's brown!
Yeah, okay. She keeps saying that. But that's not intrinsic to the analysis. I will throw that in there.
Sorry. As long as we hit that really strong point.
We will hit it. Yes, Barack Obama is an African American, but at the same time, this is still a realization of his goal, having come up the way he did with the joining together of his own family mythology. So, how does that work? The second thing I was saying, but in actuality, Obama is a lot more like Bobby, and that's because he's more rigorous intellectually than John. He has a greater sense of justice, I think, and just overall kind of like the next generation, whereas Kennedy was still a pivotal transitional figure over into the new American presidency.
You gotta tell some of the viewers who Bobby is.
Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, brother of John, of course, and Attorney General. So definitely came at the powers that be, really broke the back of organized crime in this country, but also made enemies. And then, of course, on his way to the Democratic nomination and possible victory over Nixon, he was fatally shot in a kitchen hotel by Sir Harrison Hack. So, a very tragic day. All right, so back to the Sahlins analysis. Okay, we may bring it back. So this week we learned two things. One, Barack Obama has reached the necessary pledged delegate lead, and he's in fact obtained the nomination, merely needs to sew it up. Of course, Hillary Clinton fights on, as she's bound to. She's realized not only she lost, but she's doing everything she can to force his hand picking her as the nominee. That's going to be another conversation. Anyway, second thing we learned is that Edward Kennedy, John's other brother, who survived the terrible tragedy in the Kennedy clan, an older brother being lost in the war, John and Bobby being shot, with this other cancer being pervasive in the family.
A tumor.
Who's the one who died in the plane crash? Carl?
Oh, Robert.
No. John Jr.
Yeah.
John Jr., right? It's just a family. The only one who live it long is Rose and of course, Teddy. And Teddy couldn't win for president. Teddy was so slight. Teddy was allowed to survive because of course, Chappaquiddick has kept him out of the White House, ultimately. Very sad. But
we must talk about the Kennedy curse at some point.
It's all right. The Kennedy curse is basically after, once, of course, paying for the sin. Okay, this is how it also fits into the Salem's analysis. Because okay, the structure of the conjuncture, basically, that, things work to balance. It's both in literature, but it's also in mythology, where the young hero has to go through torment, has to go through a cathartic experience because of their hubris, their excessive pride, in order to achieve truth. Joe Kennedy, old Joe, bootlegger Joe, who was firmly aligned with the powers that be, who basically committed every sin known to man in order to advance his family and the career of his sons. And their purity was corrupted by the original taint of this. So, according to mythology, that original taint and Joe's very success would be the undoing of the Kennedy family in its own way, just as it was the undoing of Captain Cook. The simultaneous fulfillment meant that you're going to be so rigid, it's a bargain with the devil, you're going to be so rigidly conforming to the structure of the mythology and the need for the karmic dispersal, that when it unfolds, as it inevitably does, it becomes a pathology of politics, as it has in American politics. And here is why it operates with Ted Kennedy and the inoperable Brain Tumor.
And his connection to Obama?
Connection to Obama. Thank you for keeping me on point. Thank you so much.
Trying to help the viewers.
He endorsed Obama fairly early. The Clintons had, basically, if he had actually supported Hillary Clinton, I believe, even though it didn't really help Obama as much in California, I think overall it helped freeze the momentum that was actually going her way after New Hampshire. Even though she'd lost to South Carolina, she was supposed to put the race away at Super Tuesday. And if she had been able to do that, then Obama's chances would have faded. He would have dropped like a stone. But Kennedy came out and endorsed. Didn't save Obama in Massachusetts. Didn't save, as well as Kerry's endorsement, didn't save him in California with Hispanic voters. But I think it did give the country that imagination. He transferred the very essence of the Kennedy on the new generation. He realized, like an overripe fruit, it had blossomed, it had died, and the generation, he was the last of a dying and essentially dead breed. And yet, that hope could be realized in the hopes of the Democratic Party, in equality of opportunity, in the historic candidacies of Hillary Clinton, the first woman serious presidential campaign, and the first African American that could appeal to white voters and not be just one other marginal candidate like Al Sharpton or the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Oh.
This was real. This was real. Kennedy bestowed this gift, and bestowed it well. And it's only fitting that at the end of the dream, the end of the realization, as Barack Obama goes on as the inevitable Democratic nominee.
That's poetic.
It's poetry. It's mythology. It's Marshall Salem's. It's the structure of the conjuncture. You have to have closure. The breaking of the ideals that are dying in one generation of the Kennedys and the rising up in a historic candidacy. In no other point in history could Obama have been as successful as he has now. In no other point in history could Clinton have been as successful as she has been. In no other point in history will the wave of organization and money be behind the Democratic Party in a way that hasn't been seen since Watergate. No other president and administration but George W. Bush could bring these things together. They almost have a historical and prophetic moment. So Kennedy's gift to Obama, the endorsement, his spiritual gift, the fulfillment of the Kennedy line. Because give it with one hand. His own, in order to bring this into fulfillment, he had to birth it at the cost of a grave sacrifice. His own leading role. He will be like Moses in the Promised Land. He will see the Promised Land. He will be on the mountain looking over and say, this is the fruition. Had John lived, had Bobby lived, had I been able to become president myself, oh Mary Jo, we still think of you.
20 seconds, Tall. Tall take.
Tall take. Teddy Kennedy gave up the ghost. He made the choice. Now, the interesting thing is, would it be better, it would be nice to see him in, but if he actually dies before the election, or gets gravely ill, how does that play? That will be another conversation. Anyway, Tall's take. Signing off. That was way too long, though. You have to. I mean, that's you know this.